is one of the designers on the project.
Hi, Pat.
So, I'm sure I'll say something stupid about one of the levels he built, and he'll correct me. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are. The stuff we're showing here is actually a little different than we've shown before. In the past, we've kind of taken levels that were kind of fun and interesting and sort of jammed them together so it made a good demo experience. They're real they're real levels in the game, but we've kind of merged some quests and things so you can actually get a demo experience, a full feel of what the game is like in 15 or 20 minutes. This time, I want to show off the beginning of the game. Obviously now we've revealed the entire introduction to the game, which reveals all the backstory, at least all the backstory we're going to tell you about up front, and then roll you right into the first, depending on how quickly you get through it, anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes typically. And then we're going to skip a little bit, and then go to another part of the game that's just very slightly later in Mickey's adventure. And then we've got a bunch of 2D levels we can show off, 4 or 5 new ones. So one of the big challenges for the game is how do we train players? Not just to run and jump, right? Every game you have to teach people how to run and jump again, which is kind of annoying, but part of what makes games unique. You have different controls, different abilities every time. But we not only have to teach players all of that basic stuff that every game has to teach players, but also we have to tell them, hey, by the way, you don't have to do everything in this game. There's some stuff you can do if you want to, but that's going to have some consequences, and you can not do it if you don't want to deal with those consequences. And on top of that, we have to teach them, not only is there optional content, but you can interact with the world in a variety of ways. You can draw and erase. That is the thing. I mean, you've all heard me talk about this enough times, you're probably thinking, oh my God, not again. But you can draw and erase in this game, and that's a new idea. It may not be new to you guys, but when we get normal people playing the game, and even gamers, it's not something that you get right away. And so the first 3 levels in the game, which we're showing here at PAX, are tutorial levels. So they feel a little different than the stuff we've shown before. They're very much about teaching the player how to do the things that make the game special, and teach them all the things that are special about the game, at least some. So, Mike just fell off. Sorry. So that's kind of the setup, and then we're about done with the intro. We can just run through this and talk about what you're seeing. Again, I really want you guys to be peppering me with questions. So I want to make sure you get what you want in this. Okay. So one thing that I always get a little misty, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm a Lewis, but right there when Oswald first sneaks into the scene. That is the first time Oswald has been seen in a Disney story since 1928. And, I mean, the guy's return to the screen means a lot to me, in a weird sort of way. It's just, it feels so special to be a part of Disney's history in that way. I do not know where to say it. Oh, there we go. That would be the wrong one. No, that would be bad. What did I just do? Okay, let's go around there. Yeah, okay, so Mickey has been dragged into this world by the Phantom Blot. A lot of people have asked me previously, why is Mickey drippy? You notice he's got this sort of drippiness going on, and now I can finally say why. I mean, in the introduction of the game, Mickey and the Blot actually merge. There's a point where the Blot literally swallows Mickey up, and they basically become one thing. And it's only because Mickey is the hero. He's got the strength of will and the strength of character to say, I will not be like the Blot. But he can't quite contain that sort of inky, drippiness that characterizes the Blot. So there's an interesting connection that I still don't want to say too much about. There's an interesting connection between Mickey and the Blot. You can sort of see hints of it in the intro sequence. But that's why Mickey is tricky. Again, so here we're basically telling the player, first of all, he's got a spirit guide, his character, Gus, the gremlin, who I've talked about before, but now you start to see his role in the game. In the tutorial stuff, it's pretty straightforward, very simple. He is your teacher. And as time goes on, he becomes a source of information, and eventually he actually becomes your conscience, so telling you the impact of the things you're doing. Really important character in the game. And he's always just off screen, which I always think is kind of magical. You know? I'll always be there with you, Mickey, just off screen. So now we've taught the player how to run, how to jump, how to use the spin move, which is one of the ways you interact with things in the world. Taking care of them. Or you started to take care of the machine. That's the machine that tried to suck your heart. Hearts are very important. You'll have to play the game to discover exactly why. And so a little bit of a challenge for players. You know, we don't want a dry tutorial, so trying to keep the tension up, action all the time. Okay, so now how do you jump? And by the way, I will say I've watched a lot of people play this now. Someone who actually helped build this stuff is making it look somewhat easier than it actually is. So there will be some challenges for players.
So why did you choose Gus to be the guy? The gremlin.
Yeah, I know. I fell in love with the Gremlins. You know, I've always sort of vaguely known about them, but you know, in the Disney archives, I found the storyboards from the film that never got made, and then you know, Dark Horse actually came out with a comic and some figures, and I bought all the figures because I'm a Disney guy, right? I just buy all this stuff, and I just fell in love with those little characters. And then I read the Roald Dahl novel, the children's novel that it was based on, and they're terrific little characters. And it bugs me. I mean, there's so many ways in which Disney influenced 20th century culture that he doesn't get credit for. I mean, he gets credit for plenty, but you know, there are lots of people who've made cartoons and comic books and written stories about gremlins that wreck machinery. But Roald Dahl really created that, and Walt was the first person who saw the potential of that and was going to bring it to the screen. And so I thought it was an opportunity to take these really cool little guys and just say, hey, you know, Walt was the one who popularized that. I mean, he did comic strips all through the war featuring the gremlins. So whenever anyone talks about gremlins in the machines, that's because Roald Dahl created these things and Walt, brought them to the public. And so I really like them, and they're magical creatures who, and they interact with machinery. So I saw obvious connections with the Beetleworks, our animatronic creatures, and they can pop in and out of existence, and they fly around and they have suction cups on their feet. I mean, so I just thought, every Disney character needs a spirit guide, like Jiminy Cricket for Pinocchio, or Polly Mouse for Dumbo, and I thought, what a great spirit guide for Mickey. Reintroduce Gus and the other gremlins, give Mickey a conscience. And every game needs a character who talks in the hero's ear, and in Deus Ex it was Alex Jacobson. I need a way to talk directly to players, and Gus provided that too. That's kind of why Gus is there. So anyway, you can go exploring here. I've actually been watching, so I have no idea what you're doing. But anyway, you can go exploring down here, check some things out. Look at Oswald statues. Well, there's something magical going on. You can spin, tune things in the world to get collectibles. You can spin the inert things, the non-tuned things, and break them to get stuff out of them. But all this is optional. You don't have to go and do any of this. I'm sorry, I'm about to cough into your mic. So this can be a very short, straightforward, I know how to do stuff, I've got a world to save, go save it sort of experience, or you can go exploring and finding secret rooms, collecting everything to be collected here.
What do the collectibles do for the player in the game?
Well, there are a variety of things. There are some that are kind of bragging rights, and we're going to track how many of the things, like the pins, are kind of bragging rights. They're a measure of your success in a variety of ways. Actually, I'm going to hold off on that. I'll come back to that in a second.